She sat at Sunday lunch, smiling like she already owned the room, and boldly demanded $500,000 for her dream luxury wedding. She thought I'd just hand it over like any comfortable dad. Then, my son slipped me a note under the table. "Dad, she's a scammer. Help." I smiled calmly and said just 2 words that shattered her smug mask and turned her confidence to dust. My name is Richard Grant Mitchell. I'm 58, living what most people call a comfortable retirement in Dallas, Texas. For 25 years before that, I was a federal judge presiding over financial crimes and fraud cases. I thought I'd seen every con imaginable. Turns out, the most dangerous ones don't come from strangers in courtrooms. They come to Sunday dinner wearing designer dresses and practiced smiles. That Sunday started like any other. My son, Jason, had invited me to lunch at the French Room in the Adolphus Hotel. He had been dating Emily for 8 months. I'll admit, I hadn't paid as much attention as I should have. Jason is 35, a successful project manager at a tech company. Always careful with relationships, maybe too careful. When he first introduced Emily 3 months prior, I was simply glad to see him happy. She was striking. Long, dark hair, perfect posture, the kind of woman who knew exactly how good she looked and exactly how to use it. Her mother, Linda, joined us occasionally, a woman in her late 50s with the same calculating eyes, though she hid them behind syrupy southern charm. That day, both women were already at the table when I arrived. Jason looked tense. I noticed immediately the way he kept adjusting his napkin, the forced smile. I chalked it up to pre-wedding nerves. They had gotten engaged 2 weeks earlier. "Richard," Emily said, leaning forward with that brilliant smile, "I'm so glad you could make it. We have some exciting news about the wedding to share." I ordered my usual scotch and settled in, expecting a conversation about a venue or a date. Instead, she pulled out a leather portfolio and placed it on the table between us like a contract. "Jason and I have been planning our dream wedding," she began, her voice taking on full business mode. Something in my gut tightened. "And we wanted to discuss the budget with you." Budget. Not plans, not dreams. Budget. She opened the portfolio to glossy photos and typed estimates. "We've determined we'll need $500,000. The scotch arrived. I took a slow sip, watching her face. Jason's knuckles were white around his water glass. $500,000? I repeated, voice neutral. She warmed to her subject, eyes gleaming like a witness convinced her rehearsed story was perfect. $200,000 for the Rosewood Mansion on Turtle Creek for 300 guests. $100,000 for cherry blossoms flown in from Japan and ice sculptures. $50,000 for her Vera Wang dress. Linda chimed in, voice dripping honey. "Our family has certain standards, Richard. Emily's our only daughter. We want her day to be perfect." I glanced at Jason. His jaw was clenched so tight the muscle jumped. Our eyes met for 1 second, and I saw pure panic, the same look he had at 10 years old after breaking the neighbor's window. I set my glass down. "And you're sharing this budget with me because—" Emily's smile stayed plastered on, but something cold flickered behind her eyes. "Traditionally, the groom's family contributes significantly, and Jason mentioned you're comfortable." Comfortable, a polite way to size up my bank account over lunch. I kept my tone even. "Have you considered what Jason thinks about this budget?" Emily slid her hand over his. "He wants me to be happy, don't you, honey?" Jason opened his mouth, closed it, stuttered. She cut him off smoothly. "If his family truly cares, they'll want to see him start his marriage properly." The threat hung in the air. Support this or you don't support your son. Then I felt it, Jason's hand brushing my knee under the table, passing me something. I palmed it the way I had watched defendants do for decades. Linda watched me carefully. "Richard, you seem hesitant. Is there a problem?" I smiled mildly. "Just digesting. It's a lot over lunch." Emily leaned back, sweetness evaporating. "For your only son's wedding, I would think no expense would be too great. But perhaps I'm mistaken about the kind of family Jason comes from." There it was, the manipulation. A
attack the family bond, make love conditional on money. Under the table, I unfolded the note without looking down. My thumb traced the deep indentations. 6 words pressed so hard the paper almost tore. Dad, she's a scammer. Help. My blood cold. But 25 years on the bench taught me one rule. The moment you show your hand, you lose the courtroom. So I smiled, nodded, and let her keep talking about vintage champagne while my mind raced. I really looked at my son then. The dark circles I'd dismissed as work stress, the weight he had lost, the way he checked his phone with dread when Emily wasn't watching. How did I miss it? I knew how. After my wife died 8 years ago, I threw myself into work, then retirement hobbies, too relieved that Jason finally had someone to ask. The hard questions a judge should have asked. "You're awfully quiet, Richard," Linda said, tone sharpening. Emily's eyes narrowed. "Thinking about what?" I answered slowly. "Whether your son is worth $500,000. There it was, the real her flashed through the mask, the anger when someone didn't immediately fold. I had seen it in my courtroom hundreds of times. I took another sip of scotch. $500,000 is significant. I assume you have signed contracts, vendor names, tax IDs, proof this isn't just a number you pulled out of thin air." Dead silence. Linda recovered first. "We're still in planning stages." Emily's cheeks flushed. "It's about trust. It's about family." "Actually," I said calmly, "when someone asks me for $500,000, it's absolutely about the paperwork." She recalculated, then tried the next card, trembling voice. "Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe Jason and I should just elope." Jason's hand jerked toward her, then froze. I saw the war on his face, desperate to fix everything, even after warning me. This was the moment. Let my son ruin his life, or do what I had done for 25 years, cut through the lies. I gave her the smile I used on defense attorneys right before I ruled against them. "Prove it. Show me real vendor contracts, signed proposals, company names, tax IDs. You have 72 hours. Linda hissed. "This is insulting." I stood, dropped $200 on the table. "This is due diligence, something I should have done months ago." I looked at Jason. "Son, I need to speak with you privately." Emily grabbed his arm. "You don't have to." "Yes, he does, because this is my son, and I will not watch him manipulated. Not anymore." The look Emily gave me was pure hatred. In that second, I knew the note was right. They had picked the wrong family. As we walked out, for the first time in 3 years of retirement, the old fire roared back, the thrill of the hunt. That evening in my study, Jason sat for 2 hours and unraveled 8 months of hell. It had started perfectly at a charity gala. She seemed cultured, interested. By the second date, the money questions began, disguised as small talk. By week 3, she was comparing him favorably to her irresponsible exes. Friends were slowly cut off, $35,000 drained in emergencies, medical bills, and a fake boutique investment routed through shell accounts. The wedding demand was the escalation. When he suggested something smaller, she threw a glass, cried, and blamed her mother's expectations. Classic grooming. My blood pressure climbed with every detail, but inside I felt something darker. Guilt for not seeing it sooner, and a father's rage hotter than any courtroom case. I asked the question that chilled him. Did she ever have you wire money to accounts that weren't clearly hers? His face went pale. I already knew the answer. I had presided over the exact same scheme in 2018. Different names, same playbook. The next morning, I called Gregory Allen Cooper, the private investigator who had worked my bench cases for years. Deep background on 2 women, my son's fiancé and her mother. "I think they're running a wedding scam." He whistled. "How personal?" $35,000 personal so far. While Gregory worked, I hired Charles William Barnes, the family law attorney who had appeared before me many times. I need an airtight case, criminal charges airtight. His retainer was $5,000. I wrote the check without blinking. 72 hours passed, no contracts. Instead, Emily texted Jason. Verbal agreements are standard in luxury events. The details come after the deposit. You do trust me, don't you? I screenshot it. She had just turned due diligence into betrayal. On day 5, Gregory told, your instincts were spot on. Emily had 3 previous engagements in Texas, each ending 2 to 3 weeks before the wedding, after extracting $65,000, $72,000, and $58,000 respectively. Same pattern, fake vendors, shell companies routing straight to Linda. Total documented losses before Jason was $195,000. I read the full report in my study while Emily bombarded Jason with desperate venue deposit texts. Every line was damning. The mask wasn't just cracking, it never had been real. Confrontation day.